Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we're going to compare two juicers. I love doing juice offs. Today I'll be juicing celery in both these juicers. And let me go ahead and introduce these juicers for you. Over on this side, we got the Hurom Greens and Celery Juicer. And actually, I previously used carrots in there. But this time, I'm going to juice celery. Check the link down below for when I juice carrots and compare this against the Omega NC800. In which case, in that episode, the NC800 fared better in my personal opinion. So you'd have to check the video for yourself to see what you think. But in this episode, we're going to actually juice celery in this Hurom Celery Greens Juicer, which is their only horizontal juicer that they have for sale in the U.S. at this time. They are known for making their vertical juicers and selling vertical juicers. So this is the first introduction. There's some improvements in this, so I'll be sure to talk about that in just a minute. And then over on this side, we have the tried and true Tribest Solostar 4. So this has been through many reiterations. I remember getting the original Solostar, the Solostar 2, the Solostar 3, and now they got the Solostar 4. So it's literally the fourth generation. And they've improved it and made it better all the way along. So much so that this is my favorite horizontal auger juicer if you want to make the highest yield. There's things, of course, I don't like about this machine, but this machine will get you the highest yield due to its design of a longer auger and more holes in the screen. Now another thing and very important to me when buying a juicer is how much does a juicer cost, right? The crazy thing is, although both these machines are made in South Korea, and I visited the factories where both these are made, I believe. I definitely know where this is made because I saw it being made. And then this one, I visited the Hurom factory, which they probably make this one too, unless they have a new factory where it's being made. They're both made in Korea, but this guy is $200 more than this guy over here, right? So like, John, it's $200 more. It must be better. Well, that's what we're going to find out. Is it better? Is it not better? We're going to learn in this episode. Now, I will say that, most juicers that are auger juicers like this are made in China. I'm not a fan of the Chinese auger juicers for many reasons. Sometimes they don't grind that well. Sometimes they don't make a high yield. And the parts may not be BPA free. Actually, both these machines are advertised as BPA free. I know some of you guys that is really important for. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is the warranty. Warranty is super critical. I want you guys to be a juicer for life. What does that mean? I don't want you to juice for 30 days or 60 days. You want to juice fast to lose weight for your wedding or for a hot date or whatever you guys got going on in your life. I want you guys to use juicing as a regular and everyday part of your healthy lifestyle. That's how I use juicing and have been now for the last 26 years. I've been juicing consistently for the last 26 years, and I strongly believe it makes a difference, and it's probably one of the most powerful things you guys can do to improve your health, because simply it allows you to eat more of the healthiest foods on the entire planet. The leafy greens, the vegetables, and the fruits. And unfortunately, most Americans and people around the developed world do not eat enough of these valuable plant foods that are very high in nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals, and low in calories, as compared to the standard American diet, which is very high in calories and very low in nutrition. And so that's how we can counteract the damage of eating the fast food diet. If you're still eating fast foods, of course, I've switched to a natural diet where I'm not eating any kind of highly processed foods or fast foods. 99% of the food that I eat, actually, I make with my own two hands, and some of it I grow in my garden. All right? But yeah, so I want you guys to become a juicer for life, and the only way you guys could do that is by having a juicer with a long warranty. The Hurom over on this side has a 2-year warranty on the juicer parts, which is actually this part right here, and the motor base has a 10-year warranty. Here's the kicker. The motor is the least likely part on the juicer to fail. The motors are actually quite durable. The parts inside here are the most likely to fail, and especially if you're not using it properly, will fail within 2 years. And if it fails after that time, you're going to have to buy the parts, which can get quite expensive. Meanwhile, if we look over on the Solostar 4 side, the motor on the Solostar 4 has a full 15-year warranty, so that's 5 years longer than the one over here, than the Hurom. And then if we look at the parts, the juicing parts also have that same 15-year warranty, which is the longest warranty in the juicing industry. I don't really know how they do this, providing you guys a 15-year warranty, because literally that means that this is the last juicer you guys will have to buy. You know, if you use it and it breaks in 5 years, call the company back. You don't gotta throw your money away and buy a new juicer. You could get the replacement parts for this and get this back up and running. If the motor breaks for some reason, right, you could send it in, they'll repair it or replace it under warranty. You might have to pay a small shipping charge. Meanwhile, on this, you're kind of left more high and dry. This reminds me more of a Chinese juicer warranty, where they might give you a 1 year, maybe 2 years if you're lucky, because after that they're like, we got your money, we don't really care about you. And that's what a short warranty in a high-end juicer means to me. Now, I'm not here to like say things bad about Hurom. I'm just stating the facts here. One of the things is I love the Hurom company. They make some of my favorite juicers, actually. They have made the consistent quality and high quality juicers and really advanced the juicing industry on many levels that simply other companies, unfortunately, are not doing. That being said, some of their latest designs, including their new horizontal design as well as their vertical designs that I've personally tested, don't fare well against some of their older designs. So I kind of wonder, why are they making all these new improvements in juicers just to get you guys to spend more money to get the newest one, even if it does not perform as good or is as convenient to use as their older models? So that's the question I would pose to Hurom. I would love to be a Hurom dealer, and I've made multiple requests to Hurom to sell their machines, and they have denied me every single time. They love to sell on big box stores and big retailers, but you know, they don't want to deal with a little guy like me. So I will continue to buy their juicers. I had to buy this juicer to make this video. This juicer I was given for free by Tribest, as I get many sample juicers for free from many companies, you know, to review and share my honest opinions with you guys. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is John Kohler, and I've been making YouTube videos on this channel probably since 2010 or 2009 or something like that. And I have over 600 videos comparing different juicers against one another. I'm a juicer. I juice every day. So like, I make the videos so that I know what juicer is best, so that I'll use the best one. But also I want to save you guys the time and frustration of buying juicers, getting it's not working properly, then you having to send it back and all the rigmarole and getting refunds, all the excess carbon emissions due to the transportation costs. I want you guys to get the right juice the first time. That's why I dedicate a portion of my life to literally making all these videos to compare all different styles of juicers against one another. And even over and above that, I teach you guys how to use the juicers. There's nobody else online that teaches you guys the knowledge that I could teach you, from how to properly use the juicer to how to store your juices for up to a week or longer. You know, and bring you guys all the latest information so that you guys could be juicers for life and get the health benefits and life changes, whether that's losing weight, gaining your health back, you know, overcoming different situations or opportunities, as I like to call them, in your body. That's what I'm here for, and that's why I make these videos. So if you guys appreciate my videos, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. There's a link right down below to the Solostar 4 juicer if you want to buy this guy. Of course, for this guy you have to go somewhere else because I don't sell those, and maybe one day I will. Alright, so the next thing I want to get into is we're going to go ahead and compare these juicers part by part, side by side. I do like some of the innovative features in the Hurom, and when I first saw them in videos from, you know, other countries, because it wasn't not introduced here first, I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Wonder if it makes a difference to maybe get a higher yield. And in my test up to date, it hasn't necessarily done that, although it is a cool design. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take these units apart part by part. Probably the main difference with the Hurom Greens and Celery is this main outlet cap, which is basically there's just one piece. They have this little stainless steel spinner thing that spins around in there, and this is said to cut up the celery more and maybe press it out a little bit more and get more juice out. That hasn't been my experience when I juice like some flowering, bolting bok choy from my garden and other brassica family plants, as well as celery and romaine lettuce. While this did put a little bit more back pressure on the produce from coming out, so maybe it might have made the yield a little bit higher, it put a lot more pulp in the juice. In addition, this got really stuck and clogged up with all the strings because the strings weren't easily able to come through this little spinner as it's rotating. So we'll see how it does today on the celery I'm using. Over on the Solostar 4, Let's go ahead and pull this out, and I will say that I do like on the Hurom that actually this is a lot easier to grab and spin off, whereas the grab points on this are a little bit not quite as easy. So this has more of a traditional design with basically just an outlet cone, so it's just a solid piece of plastic, and then you have this little inset piece. It's called the outlet adjusting knob that you could adjust to some extent to put a little bit less back pressure on the pulp as it's coming out, but basically this just forces all the pulp through a smaller hole to keep some back pressure in the machine, whereas this one has that little spinner ringer that might actually squeeze it out a little bit more. You know, this is a good design, I figured originally, but when I started cleaning it, I'm like, man, this thing is kind of more of a pain to clean because now you got nooks and crannies to clean, whereas this, it's a lot easier to clean. All right, next we got the screen coming out, and I definitely have my preference of screens, although each screen is a pro and a con in its own right. So this is the screen on the Hurom. The first stage screen is plastic, which actually has nice large slits, which are nice big holes, which means there'll be more pulp in your juice. And then they have a second stage, which has a smaller hole size. And actually, I prefer to clean this style screen. I mean, once again, every juicer is going to have pros and cons. The pros of this machine is the screen cleaning is going to take you like really quick because there's not a lot of surface area that needs to get cleaned. That being said, I'd rather use an NC800, which has a similar surface area to this and also gets a higher yield. Check link down below for when I compared the Hurom Greens and Celery against the NC800. That being said, the Solostar 4 juicer has a screen and it has a lot of holes. Look at all these holes on there compared to this, right? That means, you know, it's probably not going to put as much pulp into the juice, number one. But number two, there are more opportunities for the juice to come out as it's being ground up by the auger on the inside of the machine. That means you'll get a higher yield. So this means this machine will give you a higher yield, in my opinion, but we'll find out when we do the test in a minute. But the negative part of this screen is that it is also harder to clean because there's more nooks and crannies and holes that will get clogged up with pulp that you will then need to scrub out when you're done. I know some of you guys would rather have the maximum yield and do a little bit of scrubbing, and some of us are lazy and I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of yield for a little bit easier cleaning. That being said, I still wouldn't get this machine for easier cleaning. I would get the NC800. I have a video on that. You know, maybe I'll post a link down below. You know, juicer takes me like 80 seconds to clean. Fastest juicer to clean in the world, I found. All right, next coming out is we got the Augers. They're pretty similar, but also different. These are both made of the GE Ultim material, so if we put these down, you guys can clearly see, look at that. There's a big difference in the Augers and how long they are. I mean, there's at least an extra inch or so on the auger on the Solostar 4 than on the Hurom Greens and Celery. They both kind of go down to like, you know, kind of the segments auger to like crush things down, and then it goes into a second stage where it's actually just the pressing and squeezing, and this even has a third stage of pressing and squeezing, whereas this one kind of has a crushing stage, and then it kind of just goes into the crushing and squeezing with no additional stage, although it has this little inset in here, which also makes it harder to clean because it's a bit harder to get the stuff out of the nooks and crannies, and that's actually in here to turn this little spinner thing on the end. That's why this is in here. It's almost like a little nut thing that spins this little spinner to make the spinner work. But yeah, I mean, these augers for practical purposes are pretty much the same, although there's more auger length, which means more of a run, which means this may do a better job at grinding and extracting more of the nutrients out of your juice. Then finally we got the main juicer body. I gotta say I like the juicer body on the Hurom better for sure. It's nice and clear and has a larger feed chute with a larger funnel. Let's go ahead and take this off. And this is all one piece, guys. You can't really take this apart, whereas on the Solostar 4, the funnel will come off to remove it if you need to do that. And this is more smoke plastic, so I tend to like the stuff that's clear. You can kind of more easily see what's going on. If we line up these together, they're almost the same diameter. And if we just look at the top of these two guys, you could clearly see the Hurom funnel is a lot larger and I believe more functional. So I do like the larger funnel of the Hurom personally, although this has more of a rake to like, you know, drop things in, whereas this you have to flip things in if you're sitting it on top of the funnel. Now the other thing is the feed chute size, and I'll be the first to say I'm not a fan of the feed chute size on the Solostar 4 from the time it came out until now. In every video that I review it, I will tell the Tribest that they need to make this feed chute size bigger. This is a feed chute size of the old age, of the old days, right? This is basically a 1.5-inch circular, feed chute, and it's a lot smaller than the Hurom feed chute, which actually the Hurom feed chute is smaller than the NC800 feed chute, which is smaller than the all-new Kuvings 3-inch wide horizontal auger juicer that is going to be released in 2 to 3 months, hopefully. So yeah, but I definitely like the feed chute more on the Hurom Greens and Celery because it is larger, and I like the clear plastic more for sure. But otherwise, functionality of these parts are pretty much the same. They have a little silicone gasket at the end, and then they have just the ports on the bottom. Oh, I want to show you guys that. Look at that. The port on the bottom, where the juice comes out, is a lot larger on the Solostar 4. This makes cleaning a lot easier than the smaller hole on the Hurom Greens and Celery. So those are all the parts. These are both fairly easy to clean machines. Next, we're going to go over the motor body. So the motor bodies are a different shape. This is more of a new style shape where you have a little platform ledge that you have to use the collection cups that come with the machine. If you do use larger collection cups, they could get wonky and fall off like I have had happen, which is quite unfortunate. Then they basically force you to use the collection cups that come with the machine, which in this case are plastic, and I prefer to use glass collection cups. In addition, on the bottom of this motor, if we look, it's rated at 150 watts, and it's made in Korea, so I definitely like that a lot. And that's running forward, and that's running reverse. And then over on the Solostar 4, oh wow, this motor body is a lot heavier, and this one is rated at 135 watts. So if you're on solar panels, this will save you like 10% of the electricity. Plus, this also has more torque than the Hurom, based on the information that I have and what I believe to be true. So let's go ahead and turn this guy on. So to me, this one sounds a lot more quiet than the Hurom. And let's turn it backwards. Yeah, so it's a lot more quiet, just like really kind of blends in. Oh yeah, you guys hear the difference? It's a lot louder. This is a lot more quiet. Wow, that's amazing. Alright, the other thing I want to mention is the RPM. So the RPMs on the Solostar 4 is 57 RPMs, and the RPMs on the Greens and Celery is 77 RPMs from what I can determine. So that's 20 RPMs more. Does that mean it's going to oxidize your juice more because it's 20 RPMs more? I'd say the RPMs are insignificant, with a 20 RPM difference. That being said, how the juicer works and how it extracts is probably, and how much it restricts or lets the pulp out is probably a bigger factor in oxidation due to the heat buildup that may occur when the pulp is coming out or not coming out of the juicer, for that matter. All right. So let's go ahead and so the Hurom Greens and Celery I think comes in 2 different colors. It comes in this color, maybe like some kind of champagne color, and the Solostar 4 comes in a white color and also a chrome plated plastic, which will actually cost you a bunch of money extra. So I'm kind of more of a functionality guy, so just get the white one. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and assemble these guys. They're both super simple, super easy. They both have a collar that you need to move to the open position. You're going to go ahead and put the drum on and then lock it to the closed position. You're going to go ahead and take the auger, slide the auger all the way back in, and be aware it won't seat all the way to the back. There's going to be a gap in the back, and that's fine. That's how it's designed. We're going to take the screen, put the screen in, and then we're going to take the drum cap and put that on, make sure it goes to the open position, and then make sure it's all the way tightened to close. I will say there's a nice easy action on locking this into place. Over on the Solostar 4, once again, we got it to open, put the drum in, tighten it to close. We're going to go ahead and take that auger, shove it all the way back in there, take the screen on here, it says upper, that's always going to face up. You're going to drop the screen right in there. Then you're going to go ahead and put this end cap on from the open position and make sure you click it all the way to close. Now this one does not turn quite as easily as the Hurom. It's a bit more tight to turn, so it's very important that when you turn this on, you turn it all the way to the close. If you should only lock it halfway on, it's more likely that this might pop off when you're juicing. So make sure you click it, turn it on, and turn it all the way to close. Once again, this is also a bit harder to grab than the Hurom that has these built-in kind of like, grab things, whereas this one, they just really don't. So once again, that's an improvement that they should make, in my opinion. And we want to make sure that this this final outlet adjusting knob that comes off. There's a couple positions on here, but you put it on and then you just crank it all the way tight as it'll go. This will put the most back pressure to ensure you're going to get the highest yield. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is we're going to juice even amounts of celery in these machines to find out which juicer will reign supreme in this juice off comparison. Alright, so now we're all set up and ready to juice. Let's go ahead and first do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. Alright, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. Over on the Solostar 4 side, looks like we got 913 grams of celery. And over on the Hurom side, looks like we have 913 grams of celery also. Let's go ahead and back up, show you guys. 913 on both scales, so let's get this juice off going. Alright, so today I'll be timing how long it takes to juice in each of these juicers today. The other thing I want to let you guys know is that I am using like the celery stalks that you could buy at Costco already pre-made. You know, they basically cut them off. For you guys, I would encourage you guys to not buy them at Costco or any other place where they're actually already pre-cut off the main head. If you're buying them in that way, generally they dry out faster, so you're, number one, not going to get as much juice, and number two, the stalks could get more hard and woody, which then is going to have a hard time to juice in a juicer. Actually, I just had a customer today that could not get her juicer apart because she used some older celery that was hard or woody, and she never had this problem in the year or 6 months. She's already owned the juicer until she got some maybe celery that was maybe a little bit more dried out. So yeah, buy them fresh on the whole head of celery whenever possible. So first we're going to go ahead and juice in the Solostar 4 juicer. It's going to be an easy process. We're going to go ahead and turn this machine on, hit the start button, and we're just going to go ahead and feed each celery in one stalk at a time. The most important thing when feeding celery in is don't just try to cram it in there as fast as you could cram it in there, because you're going to overload the machine, which could cause some part breakage. You're going to simply put it in and put downward pressure on it a little bit, because as the machine comes around, it'll chunk off each piece if you try to push it in faster. This means you could be feeding things too quickly and once again cause parts to break. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and put some downward pressure on it. Not a lot of pressure is needed. And we're going to come back at you when we're done. We're going to speed this up to save you guys some time. Alright, we got the last piece of celery going into the Solostar 4 juicer. This has been very uneventful, just loading one piece in. Let's see if we don't use a pusher. Sometimes it'll auto feed itself a little bit. And there we go, auto fed itself. And the last thing you do when you put in a piece of celery into the juicer, the last piece, you want to give the machine a little bit more time to work. Don't just like put it in and turn it off. How you'll know when you're done is if the pulp stops flowing out of the pulp outlet and the juice stops dripping. We're going to go ahead and turn that machine off and hit the stop button. So it looks like it took 4 minutes and 45 seconds of juice in the Solostar 4. Next, let's go ahead and juice in the Hurom Celery and Greens Juicer. Alright, let's go ahead and turn this on. It's actually a louder pitch noise, and we're just going to drop a celery in there and let's see if it kind of auto feeds. So maybe we won't even try to use the pusher this time if it's auto feeding. Immediately some juice is dripping out of the front, but it looks like the celery is being chopped up fairly well and then coming out the front here. So we're just going to go ahead and continue this one stalk at a time, and we're going to come back at you when it's all done. Oh, we didn't hit the start button. Alright, so we got almost the last piece of celery going in. Here's the last piece of celery going in to the Hurom Celery and Greens Juicer. I found if you put it all the way to the back and then just drop this in there, it kind of almost pretty much sucks it in. Until I say that, then it's sitting there, so maybe we'll give it a little bit of a push. And it totally sucks it in. And so if we look at the time, it's right around, well, we're not going to look at the time yet because we need to put the last item in and let the pulp stop coming out of the machine. Looks like it's still moving and we're still getting some drips off, so we do not want to turn the machine off prematurely, because then what will happen is you will not get as much yield as you can. Let's see here, I think the pulp is pretty much stopped flowing out of the machine for the most part. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off and hit the stop button here. So that took 4 minutes and 23 seconds. So maybe we saved like 15 seconds, using the juicer that has a 20 RPM speed increase. I guess the next step is we're going to go ahead and check out how much juice each juicer made. So always when I'm done juicing, I always like to basically tip the juicer up, forwards, and then backwards, and you'll always get a few more drips out. And same thing on the Hurom, a little bit more difficult here with its design, because if you tilt the juicer up, you're going to tilt the glass at the same time too. Then we go ahead and move the catch cup underneath to prevent any drips on the countertop. Catch cup underneath. And let's go ahead and just put these side by side so you guys can see the difference in the yield for yourself. Let's go ahead and compare the yields. If you look very close, you'll see that the Solostar 4 made a little bit more juice, not much, but just a little bit. If we look at the line, you can see basically we got juice all the way up to the line, maybe even a little bit above that without a lot of foam on the top. And if we go over to the Hurom side, you guys can see, let's see, the clear line is like right there, and there's actually, the juice doesn't go up to that level, and there's actually some foam. So you guys can see there's not a lot of difference in the yield, although the Solostar 4 did make more juice. Alright, next step, we check the pre-straining yield, which means there is pulp in the juice, so the pulp might artificially inflate how much juice is being shown. So we have a measuring cup over here, and we will be using a sieve to strain out the juice to the same exact consistency on each style. So first we're going to go ahead and pour off the Solostar 4 juice slowly and carefully. Go too fast, we're going to dribble on the countertop. And we definitely have some pulp in the juice for sure. Got all the drips out. Next, let's go ahead and pour the Hurom juice through the sieve and see how much pulp we got. Wow. Pretty much like the carrot test I did, guys. There's like a lot more pulp in this juice than the Solostar 4, which is kind of insane because this is supposed to be like the newer design. And it's supposed to make more yield. And there's a lot more pulp. What's up with that, man? Hurom, get it together. I'm glad to test your juices before you come out with them so you guys can improve them. I want you guys to have the best products. I don't really care who wins these things. I just want the best juicer for me, and also to share with my customers and people that are watching this so that they know the truth without having to spend money on a $500 juicer and then maybe not get the best result that they were expecting, despite it being called the Celery and Greens Juicer. This is incredible to me. Alright, so if we strain these out and tap it down, see, I can't get that in a little pulp bowl there. Alright, so you guys can clearly see the difference in the pulp. I mean, literally there's like, I would say approximately a little bit more than 2 times as much pulp. Let's go ahead and weigh out the pulp and see how much pulp was put into each juice. So over on the Solostar 4 pulp, not a lot. 6 grams of pulp. That's definitely good because a juicer is supposed to juice, not make a smoothie. Got the scale zeroed back out, and the pulp from the Hurom, 13 grams. So a little bit more than 2 times as much, which is kind of what I thought. Got a pretty good eye for this kind of stuff. So next, for curiosity's sake, I want to go ahead and measure the pulp that came out of the machine. Be aware there's still some pulp is left inside the machine that we're not weighing out. The pulp that came out of the machine, 153 grams on the Solostar 4 side. Let's go ahead and weigh out the pulp that came out of the Hurom. This pulp is not as homogeneous. It's like kind of in pieces. So that's 203 grams. So that to me means that the pulp is a little bit wetter over on the Hurom, which means there's more juice still left in the pulp. Although this did do a better job at grinding up some of those strings, and cut the strings, whereas, there's more strings that are left more intact, but it didn't really mess up the functionality. But once again, despite cutting up the strings, there's about 50 grams less of pulp that came out, or a drier pulp if you want to say that, in the Solostar 4. So let's find out how this actually equates out when we take a look at the yields. Alright, let's go ahead and do a close-up on the yields. Over on the Hurom side, basically you guys can see we're basically right between 600 and 700. I'd call that like about a 650. And if we go over on the Solostar 4 side, looks like we're actually a little bit above 700, maybe 702. Alright, so you guys could clearly see an additional easily 50 milliliters of juice was produced in the Solostar 4. Alright, next up, I always like to taste test the juices. I doubt that either of these juices will taste significantly different from the other because they both use a very similar extraction method, although this guy maybe grinds up a bit better. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, and then the other thing is the texture, how much insoluble fiber went past the sieve to make it into the juice to give me some texture when I'm detecting that. I want to remind you guys that fruits and vegetables contain soluble and insoluble fiber, as well as many other types of fiber as they've been classified. And when you juice, you remove mostly the insoluble fiber. Of course, some soluble fiber will be left in the juice, like if you didn't use a sieve, and even if we do use a sieve, some of the fibers will get past the sieve into the juice and give me some mouth texture. That being said, there is still, the majority of, in my opinion, of the soluble fiber in the juice, which is definitely good for our microbiome. Alright, so yeah, we just poured out the Solostar 4 juice. Let's go ahead and try this. That's a nice clean celery juice. I taste zero particulate in there after using the sieve. Let's go ahead and try the Hurom Celery Juice. I mean, pretty much the same way. Now, if you guys notice the color on these guys, the color is slightly darker on the Hurom juice than the Solostar 4 juice. I noticed this when I was actually doing that second comparison of the yields after we used the sieve on it. Now, the only reason I could come up with for that, in my opinion, because we did juice the Solostar 4 juice first, is that, it'll always turn brown due to time, right? And the browning happens due to the oxidative damage that's happening. And I believe that because of the more different grinding technique, maybe on the end cap, it put a little more, back pressure or grinding or something that causes it to turn brown a little bit faster. And that may be a sign of more enzymatic activity, but at the same time it's breaking down some of the potentially beneficial compounds in the juices. So I always try to like to get the juice that looks the most vibrant to me, although this is totally the unscientific part of this episode. Alright? But what I can tell you, the scientific part, is that according to my test here and the other tests I've done with the Hurom Celery Greens Juicer, I am ashamed actually at Hurom for putting this out personally. This is my personal opinion. They could have their own opinion on it, but I'm surprised that Hurom would put out literally a $500 juicer that made less yield than other competitor products, especially when it's called celery and greens, promoting it as such, and supposed to be some new innovative feature with this new little attachment at the end that's supposed to get a higher yield, when in fact it actually got a lesser yield, which was sad to me. It also it put twice as much pulp in the juice as well, and the pulp is also a little bit more wet as well. Plus this machine also is $200 more than this guy over here, and in addition has only a 2-year warranty on the parts, which this is it. This is business for you guys. You guys want to spend more money because you think you're getting a better product. That's not always the case. Maybe the case sometimes, but in this situation, it's totally not the case. You will get less yield. You're going to get less of a warranty. You're going to actually use more power to create the juice, although you might be done a little bit faster. So clearly in this episode, I always have to declare the winner at the end of the episode, and clearly to me, the Solostar 4 was the winner. Not only did it make 50 milliliters more of juice, it also has a multifunction features and has a 7.5 times longer warranty on the juicer parts, a 5-year longer warranty on the juicer body. And Tribest is known to have a little bit better support than Hurom in the USA. Tribest also has been in business continuously for over 30 years in the USA, and Hurom, while it has been in business over in Korea for many years, their US division, I would definitely, in my opinion, has had a rocky start. All right, and that's what I'm going to tell you guys in this episode. If you guys are looking for the best juicer to make celery, want to get the most yield, don't mind the cleaning, I would recommend the Solostar 4. Link is down below if you guys want to buy that. Of course, you want to be sure to also watch my video, Solostar 4 against the NC800 Omega, which is my favorite horizontal juicer. That juicer does not make as much yield as the Solostar 4, either in my testing, but that machine has a little bit wider feed chute and is definitely the improved model of the greens and celery juicer that's been out for a while. That this guy, couldn't beat either when I tested it. I think I'll be now selling my Hurom Celery and Greens Juicer because it just doesn't perform well, and I don't have time to keep playing with juicers that don't perform well in my kitchen because I have already so many different juicers to use, and I'd rather use the Solostar 4 personally myself. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and my content, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else you guys could think it could help. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you never miss out on my new and upcoming episodes that come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to share my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers and other appliances such as vacuum blenders that will allow you to get more fresh fruits and vegetables in you because they're one of the healthiest foods on the entire planet based on my research. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.